Good morning. It's 9th of August, 2023. It is 8:31. The temperature right now is 17 degrees centigrade, which is what it hovered at yesterday most of the day. But it will be reaching 21 today. And although we'll have a gentle breeze and some bit of puffy cloud, generally speaking, it'll be a fine and nice day. That's the way it is outside the White Hart Hotel in Lewes in East Sussex. And the day begins with Mirador Television. Out of the bar at the White Hart, where else? Who else would broadcast out of anywhere except a bar? Any sense whatsoever. Although I had to take our support staff yesterday, Kevin, to task because he had other things to do and did not supply us with our mid-morning beer, which we are used to on a Tuesday to taste on behalf of the hotel and to give approval to way before the sun is over the yard arm. So naughty Kevin might just come by this morning with any luck at all. We might just get our mid-morning drink. We might. Anyway, I'm Keith Hayes, and welcome to Mirador Television. And as we usually do, we will start off by looking at the news. And the first story to appear is in the there we go. It's in the Daily Express. Britain strikes a deal in the war on people smugglers. So the story is that we that yet more efforts are being made by Suella and the Home Office and the government generally to stop the illegal importation of human flesh into this country, despite the fact that many organizations keep shouting foul. Whatever this government does is they keep politics out of it. We've got some clear thinking. We would actually solve what is a pretty serious problem. And if it's not resolved, then we are going to be serious trouble. So everybody should get together, no matter what political persuasion, and come to some conclusion about how we handle this. The Express leads on the news that the UK has struck a deal with Turkey in a bid to disrupt migrant routes. The nation's crime agency will have officers in Turkey tasked with targeting smuggling gangs and identifying them and stopping them. That's what the Express says. I suppose that under normal times, everybody would be very envious of the National Crime Agency staff be going to such a nice, warm country at this time of the year. But of course, the whole of the continent is still taken up with some countries hitting 46 degrees. 46 degrees. I mean, you'd cook in that, wouldn't you? You'd actually be dinner instead of eating it. But anyway, that's where they're going to go, and that's what they're going to do, is launch a war on people smugglers. Let's see, the next one is the Metro, which says farewell sneered and says goodbye to the famous singer, but it focuses on the issue of the election chiefs said that they were hacked and that 50 million voters were taken out of the system. 50 million of us taken out of the system in a cyber attack. The speculation is that it's the Russians, of course, who are rather good at this sort of thing and who don't like us very much right now. And the Metro leads on the revelation that millions of UK voters have had their personal information compromised after a data breach at the Electoral Commission. Hostile actors gained access to copies of the register in 2021. The Commission has confirmed that is the case. So the names of 50 million of us are floating around on somebody else's computer base, ready to do with as they will. So if you see funny things coming into your inbox, that's what it's probably all about. The Mail has increased that by saying there are 2 data breaches, and he said it just defies belief. The details are more than 40 million, it says. Well, let's have it to 50. What the hell's a nice round figure? More than 40 million voters exposed in a cyber attack on the electoral roll, but security fears as the name of every Northern Ireland police officer is published in error. Now, that is frightening, because the names of the policemen in Northern Ireland are a very sensitive issue. They are still under threat from terrorist organizations, even though those may now be much smaller and much less effective than they were. But nonetheless, any of those policemen, now that their details are known, could be targeted. And the fact that this is beginning to happen fairly regularly is something that I've argued and argued and argued. It falls on deaf ears. Is that unless we actually start to control our computers, instead of letting them control us, we are in trouble at every level. Ha, 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 ha. Our politicians say, from the very highest to the very lowest, and nothing more than Lewis District Council that uses computers for everything, even though half, a good 50% of its electorate, of its citizens, are over 50 years of age, outside the computer era, didn't grow up with them. No. They know what they're doing. Well, they don't bloody well know what they're doing, and they get it wrong. And I was the victim of that last night, and not only that, but they associate it with bullying. Now, the Greens have just taken over. If they can't get a grip, then why don't they resign and put everybody up for election again on the basis that let's get some competence? It's no good that politicians throwing up their hands and saying, but any computer error is with the executive. The buck stops with them. We need good governance here, and we ain't getting it. And these breaches in computers and overuse of computers and the silly nonsense that brings with it is the result. And our society is fragmenting. And these cyber attacks aren't just at the highest level, they're also at the lowest level. We see all these do-gooders, as I call them, the people who cannot see the reality of life, pouncing around, talking about how we mustn't. You see the policies. We will not stand the bullying of our staff. We will not stand the bullying of this, that, and the other. But they don't mind doing it. And I have a letter in my pocket proving the point. I got something last night when I got home. I couldn't believe it. They said I owed the council £6,000 accrued over 2 months. What the hell did I do? Buy the council chamber? I might as well have, for all the use that they put it. Buy the council chamber. And will they do anything about it? No. As a matter of fact, long before it got to me, they were alerted twice that there was a mistake. And did they do anything about it? Yeah, they did. They said, no, we can't make a mistake. The computer doesn't make a mistake. What absolute bloody rubbish. And this is we're living under these sort of conditions. And it's time that it's stopped. And it's time that it's put together. Let's get some strength. Let's see some leadership. Let's see some dignity from the people that we've elected to represent us. Instead of this cowardly approach to everything. And one way of looking at things. If you ain't green, you don't count. Well, that's not good enough. The Greens are in charge to look after all of us, not just their favoured electorate, who will say green for any reason, right or wrong. Get with it. You've got something called a scrutiny committee. Use it. Look at the executive carefully. Don't just ponce around having a photograph taken nicely, and it's because you patted a lamb on the head. It is not good enough. Not good enough at all. As the Mail says, it just defies belief. The Financial Times, they actually have gone as well with a similar thing. Is Universal and Google in talks over licensing A1 made music. Oh yes, right. If they make the music online, then they've got to be able to license it. That, on the surface, seems to be quite reasonable. Goodness gracious me! If you make something, you can expect to be paid for it, and that's what copyright is all about. The trouble is that they play fast and loose with the rules. Google and Universal Music are in talks to create a licensing system for music created using artificial intelligence. According to the Financial Times, it will aim to ensure artists are compensated for deep fake songs, which recreate their voices, the paper reports. Well, that makes even more sense. If I sing on YouTube and somebody copies it, I expect to be paid for it. I generated it. I may have to give something to the author, but generally speaking, and I will tell them what my fee is. Yeah, I'd quite like the sound of that. I might forgive them for that. The I, right, it changes tack again. And here this morning it talks about a weight loss jab can cut risk of heart problems. So I can't wait until Liza Page gets hold of that one. The leads on the results. The eye leads on the results of a trial showing that a new weight loss drug called Wegovy can reportedly reduce the risk of strokes and heart attacks by 20%. It comes amid a wave of interest in weight loss drugs such as Ozempic. Oh, all those names mean nothing to me. All I know is that there is a suggestion that if you take a jab on weight loss, it will help you. I have to say that I've been losing weight quite a lot. I tend not to eat each day until tea time. Now, that's not good for me either. But I lead a very, very busy and full life. I don't have much time. I have one small drink at lunchtime, which takes me about 20 minutes, and that's it. I've been losing weight. In fact, it is at my age, which is 83, going on 84, is that I can expect to see some flab. But in fact, just by me not eating or doing it in a strange way, is I've started to get some shape back. I'm quite pleased, actually. And that's without any sort of jab. Without any sort of jab at all. Ooh, I'm not quite the roly-poly character that I was. This work is good for me. The Times, weight loss drug can cut heart attacks and strokes. Same thing from the Times. The Times also leads on news about the potential of weight loss drugs. It says the drugs could be used as a key tool in easing pressure on the NHS after a study looked at the effect of Wegovy on 17,500 overweight people. There you go. There you are. Just to pause for a moment, the time is 8:45. The temperature is 17 degrees. At the moment, it's sunny. We can expect a little bit of disruption with the odd cloud, but no rain. So that's that. The Guardian. It goes back to an old theme. Hang on, where are we? Yeah, is water companies face £800 million legal action over raw sewage allegations. Ha ha ha! and it says the Guardian reports that a class action legal claim against water firms which have pumped raw sewage into the sea and rivers could yield an £800 million payout. As with many of Wednesday's papers, it also features an image from Sinead O'Connor and her funeral. I must say that there was an outpouring of grief over that singer, even though she reportedly was, as they say, troubled. The Telegraph is a pay freeze loophole, bills 100,000 mandarins. The people who work for the government doing very well, thank you. And it looks as if they actually, like, it's always the way. Nobody says much about them. But they actually get a pay rise. They nearly always do. It's astonishing. We'll have to, let's take away that raw sewage. Who wants to sit and look at that at breakfast time? So there's a pay freeze loophole. It doubles £100,000 mandarin. All those working over £100,000, which it seems there are hundreds in Westminster, are going to get a substantial increase. And those people who sit outside the £100,000 mark are going to come into it. So once again, if you want to do rather well, go and join the government. You don't work very hard, and you pick up a nice tab. All right? Okay. The number of civil servants on salaries above 100,000 has increased by a fifth since 2016, Telegraph claims. The story, which is based on figures obtained by the Taxpayers Alliance, say a loophole is allowing the rises. Yeah, they're not capped by them. It's amazing the things that, I know a lot of people poo-poo people like Liza Page and those people who say, hang on, the people are trying to control us, because there's certainly an element of truth. The government makes sure that it puts in enough loopholes that what applies to the rest of us, it doesn't apply to them. I'll give you one example that came out during COVID is the local governments, through the Data Protection Act, the very thing that's supposed to protect us, the Data Protection Act, allowed them to look into our bank accounts. Ostensibly, if you were saying you couldn't afford your council tax, they were looking into your bank account to see whether you could or you couldn't. And they did that legally through the Data Protection Act. Ha ha, ha ha ha, yeah. The Mirror. In loving memory. Now, once again, we can get terribly soppy about things. And we shouldn't. But this one, I think, soppiness is personified, and it is perfectly okay in doing it. Because Will and Kate yesterday are going to deliver a special message to the nation 1 year after the Queen died. The Prince and Princess of Wales will lead tributes to the late Queen with an address to the nation, according to the Mirror. The King is expected to make the 8th of September anniversary in private at Balmoral, the paper reports. Mark, not make, mark the September anniversary in a private ceremony. Right, okay. Let's go to our favorite little paper, the Star, which always brings a little bit of a smile to our lips. They didn't see that coming, he says. AI is replacing psychics. tarot readers and clairvoyants are losing work due to robo chatbots. That's just how stupid we are. We listen to people who are psychic because they're psychic, and then we abandon them and go to robots which aren't anything. They have no feeling whatsoever at the moment. Anyway, that might change, but they have no feeling whatsoever. But what's as dumb people? I mean, sometimes we consider it dumb enough to go to a psychic, but there is at least an element that they may be right, that they may have special powers. But a robot, and they all rush to see what a robot says. Ha! He's just how stupid can you get? I suppose the the star it calls those sort of people as readers, but they didn't see that coming. It said, and I think that's terribly amusing, because what they're implying is that that this threat is on the way, that they're psychic and look into the future, and they didn't actually see that this was going to be a difficulty for them, a competitor to them. They didn't see that coming. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Well, what we see in the papers this morning is what Elon Musk is very much said. I'm not a fan of Elon Musk, don't misunderstand. But you know, sometimes people don't have to be nice to tell us the home truth. Basically, what Elon Musk said is, don't worry about artificial intelligence, because computers are already controlling us. And he's absolutely right. And all this morning's stories, all bar one, are about how computers are controlling us and steering us through life, and without any give or take, because a computer doesn't. It is not human, and that's where we begin to feel to fail to see the dangers of these things. They are fed by humans. They are told what the combinations are to make them think. They've done a very good job of it. And in fact, I've been looking at artificial intelligence myself to see how it can help us. But by the same token, you really do have to accept a computer is a computer, and it does what its masters program it to. And that means that because life changes at a great rate of knots, which it does, is we need to stay alert to computers. And we don't. We just let them get on with it. No matter how old the information is that we push in, we just carry on. And my experience last night is to open up and say, I'm 6,500. And it says, after having double checked, and then it threatens to drag me to court. Well, let me tell you about Lewis District Council and court, because I went to court once in challenging them. I arrived at the court in Brighton, and I found the court usher, and he said, I've got nothing for Lewis in any of the courtrooms. And I was dying to get in front of the magistrate just so that I could explain and outline the nonsense that was going on. No, suddenly a representative from Lewis District Council turned up and said, oh, could we have a word? So we had a discussion in a private room, and they agreed that they had got it wrong, or at least their computers had got it wrong. And we agreed with a future course of action. And of course, the moment that I agreed that, I should have known better. I should have stuck to my guns and gone in front of the magistrate, because then they changed their tune. And what was the reason? Because the man who came and saw me at the court and struck a deal with me is changed his job. He changed his job within the council. He used to live in the council. He changed his job. So this is somebody new who was not going to get terribly excited because they've been warned off. And that's the way that the computers are used to help put whatever it is that the council has got in mind into place with some justification. And it's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. We must get back to a nice mix. Of course we need computers. Of course they're helpful, even though I rant and rave and say they're not. I don't really mean that, and it'd be foolish of me to do so. I'm using a computer to broadcast to you right now. But it's a nonsense that they are not monitored, they are not altered, they are not brought up to date, they are not looked at what they're trying to achieve on a very, 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 very regular basis. Because then what they do is they become guilty of the very thing that they ponce around saying, we are protecting people from being bullied. Like hell. If I received one of these things, how many more people did who are in their 80s and who are so-called vulnerable? Oh, it's easy for them to sit around and say, let's put the tag vulnerable on these people. Oh, but hang on, we're going to actually bully them. It doesn't matter. No, we're the council. We can do that. As a matter of fact, it doesn't matter. I'm picking on the council. All the way up the governmental strata, bullying takes place, despite the fact that they all cry, oh dear me, we must not have bullying, and particularly if it's them that's bullied. It's all out of kilter, and it wouldn't take too much to bring it back into kilter, but they don't want to. They don't want to bother their arse, to put it bluntly. We have got the laziest bunch of civil servants that we've had in this country in God knows how long. But the reason that they're lazy is because they don't know what to do. They're an ignorant bunch. They're not well trained. They're not well educated. And actually, there aren't many people that are well educated nowadays because of the tampering and the nonsense that's gone on with the educational system. It is all too much. It's all got to be looked at. And where could it start? It could start at home. It could start amongst the Green Party, who have come in as our saviours. Well, be a saviour. Instead of politicising everything, why don't you get down, as indeed our former mayor did, and get your fingers dirty? Start to look at what the reality is and what you should be doing and how you can save us, help us, steer us, guide us, and restore some respect and authority into who you are, instead of us all having to giggle behind our hands at the way that you actually preen and ponce up and down. That's what we want. Say 59. You've got a minute to make up your mind what you're going to do before we go off the air. We'll be back in half an hour. Yes. Think about it. Has the computer taken over you and what you tried to do? Because it's taken over the council. And if you are an elected representative, it's up to you to utilise the tools that you have in scrutinising what's going on in the executive. And if you're not doing that, you're wasted. You're useless. There's no point in you being there. And if suddenly there's a movement to do away with local government and take away your lollipops, then you've only got yourself to blame. I did enjoy that. I always enjoy my rants. Oh, well, there you go. That's what it's all about. Back in half an hour.